Now, I've got a really fun one for you today. And if you saw the thumbnail and were wondering what the heck is Matt thinking, but you clicked anyway, well, thank you for that. I got to do something really fun today that is one of the core missions of the channel, and that is supporting and encouraging tyers out there, no matter how long you've been tying or how old you are. And today's pattern comes to us from Audrey in Missouri. Her dad, Derek, has been tying for about a year or so, and he's gotten all 3 of his young kids into our sport. And Derek sent me this picture of a fly Audrey came up with, and I love this thing. I told him I'd be honored to tie it for the channel. Now, a couple of videos ago, I tied the rubber leg copperjohn, which at the time I said was the wild and wackiest fly I've tied all year, but I think this one, Audrey's butterfly princess, has got that beat. Now, I consider this 100% an attractor bucktail. It's wild, it's crazy and fun, and it might not be as serious as a Carrie Fisher type streamer. I really think this thing could catch fish. Tie it a little bigger and you got a great saltwater pattern. Tie it as I'm about to, and it's probably a nice big mouth bass fly, but who's to say a big wild territorial brown trout wouldn't smash this? So I think Audrey came up with a winner with this one, so make sure you leave a comment and let her know what you think of it. And one last note, I like to encourage all tyers to do things like this. Just every once in a while, reach to the back of your drawer and pull out some pink or blue chicken feathers, maybe some purple flash, and just tie whatever you want and have fun with it. So there it is, Audrey's butterfly princess. Now this is one sharp looking fly, multi-purpose, multi-species streamer. I'm tying it on a size 8. This is a 5 extra long streamer hook. Let's pinch that barb. For the thread, hot fluorescent pink. I'm going to go with a 140 denier. Let's go ahead and catch it in and take it back here to where we're going to catch in our tail. Now we got 2 components on the tail, just some crystal flash and a pinkish purple or a rainbow I think Audrey did. We're going to use 4 strands, so 2 strands, and I'll fold it over and then trim it to size. Now that might be a little long, but we can trim it to size later if we need. Next thing we're going to catch in is some pink feathers, strung saddle hackle, or just anything you've got from a pink chicken. We're going to catch this in. It is pretty long. Let's go with that right there. We got a little bit of that flash showing underneath. I think that's going to be fine. A couple wraps just to get it a little farther back and maybe laying down a little bit. I think that's perfect right there. Now I'm not going to snip these stems. I'm going to just put some loose wraps going up to try and minimize extra lumps in this body. And it might make a difference, it might not, but it doesn't hurt to try. See that? I got them a little bit coming off to the side, so if I can straighten them back up, that might help just a little bit. Now 2 components on the body, got a wire rib, and Audrey used a rainbow crystal flash, but I'm going to step it up to a wire, and this is actually a size medium, so it's even thicker than brassy. So I want this thing to be a durable fly, because I can see some big mouth bass just chomping down on this thing, and I want it to last a while. So I'm going to use some pretty thick wire for my rib right here, and I caught it in up front for the same reason that I kept those hackles or those feather stems there. I'm trying to keep this body as smooth as possible. So leave your thread up front. Now grab some holographic Mylar tinsel. This is a size large right here, and I'm going to catch it in up front also. And this can help smooth out any lumps you have as well. Okay, for the most part that body is fairly smooth, but we'll see when we wrap this. Now I'm just going to wrap this up, one wrap right in front of the other. I'm going to try not to overlap them, but if they do overlap a little bit, you're probably going to be fine. Just try to keep it smooth. Now, it looks like I did leave one gap right back there. I wasn't really paying attention to it. Sorry about that, Audrey, but I think we're gonna be okay. Now I'm just gonna counter wrap this rib, and even spaces, you know, however many you think look good. Probably 6 wraps or so. Now, after you get a couple of wraps to hold it in, what I do, I just try to lay that wire forward and put a few tighter wraps right here. Because I am not going to try and snip this thick medium wire with my scissors. I'm just going to put some tension on the thread and helicopter it off. And check, make sure you didn't leave a sharp nub right there. I left a little bit of one, so I'm going to put a couple wraps going down. Now I'll leave my thread here toward the back of this head. And Audrey does put a belly on this thing, some white bucktail. I'm going to put it in my stacker just a little bit. And the belly is pretty sparse. Right there, about that much. I'm going to flip it over and catch it in on the underside. If you don't have a rotary vise, you just, you know, take your time. You have to be a little more dexterous. I'm spinning my thread clockwise here, going to cord it up just a little bit and do a pinch wrap right here. We'll do 2 of them and then take a look at it and make sure that's coming off the bottom like we want. I think it is. So a couple more wraps to secure it, and we'll snip this excess. Now for the proper wing, some Chartreuse green fluorescent bucktail. Really cool stuff right here. Now I'm going to use a little bit more than I did for the tail, but I'm not going to stack it. I want those tips kind of all over the place. So get your length back there, maybe to the middle of that tail, a little bit past the, well, a good bit past the bend of the hook. So I think that's where I want it right there. And again, I'm going to spin this thread clockwise to cord it up so I can get a tighter bite on this right here. Let's do a couple, 2 or 3 tight wraps and see. Now, do I need to put a wrap up under it? I could lift this up and put a wrap under it. Would probably keep it from spinning, but I think we're going to be fine without having to do that. We'll just build a big head and a few tight wraps going forward before we snip this excess right here. Okay, I got that trimmed mostly. We'll see if we can bury some of those nubs in our head here, because it does have a pretty big head. We'll just take our thread right back up to the eye and then ramp it back up and build a big streamer head. Okay, I think that head's big enough. Let's go ahead and wet finish it toward the back of it. And there we go. Do we have any cleanup? I don't think so. I think we're going to be just fine. Big drop of UV resin up there to get a nice hard head. And there you have it, Audrey's butterfly princess. So make sure you leave a comment, tell Audrey what you think of her fly. I'm sure her dad will show them to her. So I appreciate you watching, everybody. Y'all take care, and we'll see you next time.